Today, I'm joined by Kori Tiatto, and I am absolutely thrilled to have her here. Kori does not take to the camera very easily, and so I'm very grateful for her for making this exception for me. I sort of think of Kori as one of those people that's sort of like a fairy godmother who's sort of in the background doing all these amazing things for thousands of kids, but we don't often get to see her beautiful face. So, welcome today, Kori.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate you having me.
Now, in case you haven't noticed from Kori's beautiful office there, she is the founder of Decodable Readers Australia, which has absolutely taken Australia by storm. And I'm so privileged that we get to talk about your business journey there and your career and how you got to where you are right now.
Thank you.
I'd like to start off with I know you didn't necessarily start as a classroom teacher. How did you get into this line of work? Where did that begin for you?
Yes, so my oldest son, he couldn't read. And so I sent him off to primary school, as all parents do, and you expect the journey to be fun and exciting and easy, but for him, it just wasn't. And we spent thousands on speech pathologists and tutoring and doing everything that the school wanted us to do, but it still didn't help him learn to read. We lived in Melbourne at the time, and they used whole language, so he memorizing a lot of words, and he's got auditory processing difficulties and very short-term memory, so he found it really hard to keep memorizing all those words. So it just sort of sent me on a journey of, okay, well, that's not working, what else can we do? And then the whole debate came up of whole language versus phonics, so I thought, that's not working, let's try phonics. So it sent me down a rabbit hole, and I became obsessed. And I did train with a lady up here in Queensland, and started implementing systematic phonics with him at home, and the rapid growth that he had, I was amazed by. So he, by the time we got to grade 2, is when we really started doing the systematic phonics. He did learn phonics at school, but he never was taught how to put those sounds together, so he didn't know what to do with it. He had no phonemic awareness. I actually didn't even know what phonemic awareness was, but once I was taught about it, I thought, oh, okay, we'll start implementing things at home, and just a lot of general chit chat with him. I'd say, oh, look over there, there's a cat. And just by doing these little things at home, he started to understand, so I learned these sounds and I put those sounds together and I can say the word. And obviously there's a lot more to it than that, but he had been taught phonics at school but didn't have any concept of what to do with it. So once we started to teach him that, he went from reading in the PM levels, went from reading level 6 to 28 in 18 weeks. And that was
Wow.
just, yeah, it was phenomenal. Because we started to go down the path of having him diagnosed. And for him, it simply was that he just wasn't taught in the way that made sense to him, and that he could put all those sounds together and read the word. Once he could understand what reading is, it all just came together, and he could start to read. His spelling improved, and the reason I became obsessed was because I could see that my son was he was feeling really stupid, and he's so young, but he would say, I'm just stupid. I can see all the other kids doing everything and I can't do it, because it started to affect his maths, it started to affect everything. And I used to watch him come out of the classroom and he'd literally gasp for air. And I thought, oh my God, look at him. He's absolutely exhausted. And he'd been in that classroom all day just trying so hard to just focus and just try to do the basic things that everyone else found so easy to do, but he didn't. And I just thought, I cannot sit back and watch this happen. That's why I jumped in and thought, if we're spending all this money on specialists, which were trying to do an amazing thing with him, but it just wasn't working. So I just became obsessed and started teaching myself how I could teach him.
You seem to be driven by this belief that he could learn to read, though. Where do you think that faith came from? Because you're trying all these different things, the teachers are trying all these different things, and it's not working. Um, where do you think that just belief came from?
Just I just knew he could. He was so smart and intelligent in so many ways, and I thought, um, I just didn't want to see him go through life illiterate, and I was going to make sure that he didn't, because I knew the challenges that he would have if he couldn't read. It was going to impact his life forever.
So fast forward a little bit. I met you in 2016, I think it was, when I first got back from London. But Decodable Readers had already started at that point. What was the catalyst? So you mentioned that you had these spelled South Australia, and they still are available for anyone wanting to look at those, the free decodables on spelled. What was the catalyst for deciding, okay, this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to make my own series.
So I was part of another business. It was a program. And what I noticed, I was only in that business for about 18 months, but what I noticed in that business, we would buy wholesale decodable readers. It was one of the big pieces of the puzzle that schools needed. And that company didn't have their own decodable readers. So we would import from the UK. Mostly it was the UK that we'd import them and sell them to schools in Australia. And so once I left that business, there was there was quite a few companies doing decodable readers, but I just wanted to. I knew it was a big part of the puzzle and wanted to do something a little bit more engaging and Aussie related. So once I left that company, I took about 6 months break and thought I've learned so much as a parent, as a business person, and I didn't want to let those skills um, be left on the table. I knew there was so much more that we could do, and because I had that passion to help make sure kids can learn to read, I pulled together, thought we were going to create some decodable readers, our own series of readers. And so we started with one set of books. I got together with a friend of mine. She was a teacher that I had met, um, and and a friend who was a graphic designer. So we came together as the three of them. We just used our skills. I was just really good at business and organising and the operational side of things. We started writing our level one main fiction series. So we launched this business with 20 books, and I knew the schools needed them, especially those early levels. There wasn't enough on the market with SatPin, and that's where our series start with SatPin. So we started there and just we got orders, and we do print and self publish ourselves here in Queensland. So built a relationship with a printer. We got them printed, started selling. The schools loved it, and we only got we got into a few schools and just kept growing. And then we did level 2 and then level 3. So we started with 20 books and now we're at about 354
Wow.
books, I think.
Yeah.
So,
You skip over that like it's a quick sort of, oh, I did this and then I did that kind of journey. But
yeah.
I'm sure there was a lot more to it than that. So when I got back to Australia, I don't know if you found this around about that time, science of reading really wasn't in the vocabulary very much. I found it kind of hard to convince schools that we did need to make this switch. So when you say schools loved it, how did you build those relationships and what were the kind of conversations that you were having at that time?
So one of my business partners, she was a teacher at the time, and she spoke quite a lot to the schools and just understanding their needs and what they were missing. And the way we did get into schools was a lot of calling them up and finding out who the head of curriculum was, who the person was that made the decisions. And we sent samples to the schools and made sure it got directly to that head of curriculum. And then they would just call and start the conversation, and because it was the science of reading wasn't big news then, so there was a lot of educating what's the benefit of decodable readers, why are they needed, and how can they benefit your students. And once teachers had a knowledge of that, or they could have been like me, seeing many students coming through the system through their class and not having the impact that they wanted to have, but then that child's going from prep to grade 1 to grade 2. And teachers want to help their students. Teachers want to know that they've had the biggest impact they can for those students before they pass them on to the next year level. And there's a lot of amazing and passionate teachers, and it was just reaching out one by one, or they would hear about us and they'd contact us. And teacher knowledge is powerful, and once you can help open their eyes to a more systematic way, it just evolved, and we grew organically. We don't spend much on marketing or anything. It is pure organically, and it does help that the science of reading is big news now. And maybe we just came in at the right time. I'm not sure, but we do create wonderful resources, and they are helping thousands of kids around, not just in Australia, but worldwide at the moment.
I did see that you're recently moving into the US. Some people watching this are probably from the US. How's that going? I know that you were doing a trial to see if there are any Australianisms in there. What's the plan with that?
Yeah, so we are definitely, they found us organically as well. And what we have noticed over there is um, in Australia, most schools can choose, they get a budget and they can choose what they want to implement within their school. In the US, and we don't know if it's the whole of the US, but we've had districts purchase from us. So the district makes the decision and then they distribute to the schools in their district. That's our experience so far. Whether that's America is so, the USA is so huge. So it could be different in every region. I'm not sure, but it's going well. They're making the shift over there as well, and they're actually loving the Australian characters. And we do have our online library, and that's all digital and a subscription base. So all of our collection of readers are in the library, and we're trialing it in a school over there at the moment. A friend of mine met a beautiful American teacher, and so she's trialing it for me because I really wanted to know, would the Australian accent be a problem for them? But as our Australian students enjoy listening to American shows and American voices, they're loving it as well. And sometimes we do sound things out a little bit different, but the teacher can just sound it out how they sound it out over there. Their dialect is a little bit different to ours in some sounds, but yeah, it's going well, and we're hoping to have a bigger impact over there. And again, we'll just keep reaching out, keep doing what the most important thing for me here and with my team at Decodable Readers is that we create obviously fantastic resources that we know that work, but teacher education. So we have our learning lounge on our website, which is all free PD. So teachers can watch it in their own time. It's bite-sized pieces of information that they can read and start implementing. A bit like I did, I would read little bite-sized pieces of information and then just start trying it. And you learn more by doing. I feel like once you do it and you see, oh, that didn't quite work with that little boy, I'm going to try something else. He needs to keep playing more games and learning that way before he can. You have to work with the child, make it more engaging for them. If it's not working, some kids you can sit and just do a lesson with them and they'll just take it all in. But as you would know, Sarah, you've worked with so many kids as well. You have to change direction sometimes with kids and teach to their needs and what engages them, but still all in the same systematic way, but just reshuffle things so they're engaged and they don't even realise that they're learning. Sometimes they're having such a good time.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's still within that systematic structure. It's
Yeah.
not, you quite often hear that, oh, they all learn differently, but actually human brains pretty much all learn the same way to learn to read. It's just some are good at it and some are not so good at it. But yeah, definitely that games-based and fun kind of play-based stuff. Can you talk a little bit more to the structure of the books? I know decodable readers so often get a reputation for being shallow or not very engaging. How did you structure your books?
So that's one thing I did find about decodable readers, that they were a little bit boring and not as engaging. So that was one thing that we wanted our stories to have a story. So it had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and hopefully a lot of them have a nice message within them or a value in there as well. So very difficult to write those types of engaging stories with only 6 sounds. With at, itten, you can only make up so many words with those sounds. But I think we've done a good job in our level 1 series, just using those 6 sounds. We have 40 titles just in that series, and it was just important to make them engaging, bring the characters to life. We didn't want our pictures to tell the story. The kids had to be able to read the words and then enjoy the illustrations. And who doesn't love cute little koalas and kangaroos? And so we picked our theme. We started off with the Australian characters, and I think that might have been one of the biggest factors, especially in Australia. The schools loved the concept and the themes and the characters. To the point that we are constantly asked, are you going to bring out soft toys of all the characters? And we're constantly asked that. It's not something we're doing right now, but it may come in the future because the kids are obsessed with the characters. And, there's so many scenes they can set up at school for other parts of their English lesson. Um, they can use them as writing prompts. And so a lot of schools are buying their own koala, their own kangaroo, and pretending it's Pat and Nat, our characters, and creating writing prompts. And they set it all up like a little scene in their classroom, and the kids have to write about it. And yeah, so everyone wants our characters. We've done a Decodable Tales series, which is just beautiful tales and all different sorts of characters. And we have non-fiction because the schools wanted variety. So we listened to the feedback and, okay, they've got enough of that. Let's give them the variety that they need. And that's what we're doing. We just keep developing to the needs of the teachers.
You mentioned that there were 40 titles in the level 1. That's the SAT PIN stage. Why so many books in the 1 level?
Because kids need a lot of practice within that level, within each level, to achieve mastery before they move on to the next level. So we want them to be reading fluently at that level and understanding, have a good grasp of reading before you start introducing more sounds. If they're not reading fluently at that level and you start introducing more, it's cognitive overload. It's just too much. They need to achieve mastery at one level before you introduce more sounds and move them on to the next level.
And it's so great that you've got that variation too, because something that I always talk to teachers about when we're doing teacher training is it's not repetitive readers, because as we know, if you give the student the same book over and over again, they will just memorize the book and they may not even be looking at the words or even the book when they're saying what they're reading. But with the 40 different titles there, you can have that variation in the word order and what the stories are about. So they're still getting the repetition of the same sounds, but in different contexts, which is really, really nice. I think that's one of the things that I think really sets Decodable Readers apart for me, is that many of the other titles you get, they usually only have 1 book per sound. But that's really, really handy.
Yes, definitely, absolutely. And that's what I found with my son back in the day. There wasn't as much variety, and we did have to keep reading the same book. And you're right, they can easily start to memorize it. We don't want that. We want them to be reading. So we provided the variety. In our SAT pin, there is 40, and then some of the other levels have 50 books per sound set. So it's more than enough. And, if you're a school when you're following a scope and sequence, it's important to have readers that align and match your scope and sequence. So it was important to us to give the variety so that schools didn't have to start buying from here, there, and everywhere, and the scope and sequence doesn't really match. You're trying to make it fit. So if we gave the variety, they could just stick with Decodable Readers. They know they've got plenty of titles to get the kids through, and there's no need to keep mixing and matching. It's okay if you've already got other readers, you can make them fit as long as the students know the sounds within those books. Otherwise, they'll become unstuck.
Yeah, really key definition, I think, for those who are fairly new to all this stuff. It's only decodable if you have already taught the sounds. So any decodable reader can become undecodable if it contains sounds that haven't been taught yet.
That's right.
Really important distinction. I want to talk a little bit more now about your actual business journey, because that's a big thing for anyone. So you mentioned before that you had a little bit of experience in a business. You've got this knowledge around science of reading, and you wanted to put that to good use because you had a passion for helping kids, making sure all kids could learn to read. What are some of the challenges that you experienced in that early initial startup phase?
Cash flow. You have to be really good at managing your finances, and because you need to buy stock, you've got taxes to consider. And thankfully, I have always been financially literate, and I was really good at organising that part. So I naturally progressed into the operations side and uh, ordering the stock and developing relationships with printers and other suppliers. You need packaging suppliers and just developing those key relationships. And from this day, we still use the same suppliers. We're still printing in Australia. I like keeping business in Australia if I can. and help other small businesses. So, but it's, yeah, everything's a learning curve. So going into business is daunting in itself, but being able to manage it efficiently and keeping things in control, which is something that I'd like to do, keep things in control. And yeah, you need to, a lot of management. That's, you just have to be good at management, and hiring key staff as well. As I mentioned earlier, I did have two business partners, and business isn't for everyone, and circumstances change, and you might want to go in a different directions, and that's what happened. I wasn't ready to step out and sell the business, so I bought the other two partners out, and I've gone from strength to strength from there, because when your business partnerships can be great, but everyone has different thought processes in the direction that they want to take the business, and or someone might be a little bit more reserved to make certain decisions. Someone's a go-getter, and which was me. I would think, oh, why don't we just try this? If it doesn't work, that's okay. We'll try something else. And that, you have to be able to evolve in business, and it's okay to make mistakes, and you learn from that mistake and you try something else. And yeah, that's what we do. And you have to listen to your customers as well. What is it that they're asking? Is that something that we can create, and know that anything that we release, we want to know it's research based and will have an impact on the students. So that's, yeah, it's just, business is tough, and but it's, yeah, for me, just always being really organised and in control and managing all the million pieces. And at once I bought the business partners out, I was wearing every hat. So I was wasn't a teacher, but I was the only person there. So a lot of teachers would call, and I could confidently talk to them and guide them. But at the same time, I felt like a little bit of an imposter, because I'm not a teacher. I have never been in the classroom, but I do know the resources that they should have, and I do understand how to teach children to read. And so I started to build my team, and I brought on Camilla. I'm sure many of you have watched some of Camilla's videos on our website. She's phenomenal, and she now she's the one that follows all the research, and I don't have time now to follow all of the research, but she does. And we will always make sure our resources are the best in the business and aligned to the research. And even if that means adapting some of our things, if we have to adapt some of our resources to align with the current research, we'll do that as well, because everyone, we're all still learning. And you have to evolve, and we'll continue to do that and provide whatever we feel is a need, and will help impact students and help make it easier for teachers within the classroom as well. So
one of the things that's really struck me about watching your journey over the last kind of 8 years is I sort of met you right around that stage. I think you had level 1 and maybe level 2 done. Your ability to make strategic decisions about where things need to go. And that is one of the hardest things when we're all getting started and we're thinking, yeah, we're listening to our customers, we're trying to figure out what it is that they want.
yes, so we always have a plan. So we've already mapped out what the next 6 months look like in terms of product creation. We have a huge following now, so our business is so established, and it's when we decide on a product that we're going to create, we sit down and discuss why is that one needed. Do we have something like that already? No, we don't. Is it required? Will that impact the students' learning? Yes, it will. And will it have a big impact on the teachers? Yes, it will. And why? And then we make the decision, yeah, that's a product that is needed. And we have our scope and sequence. So everything that we create will always align around our scope and sequence. And if so Camilla has a million ideas. I don't think she'll ever stop creating, and because she's obsessed as well, and her obsession is teachers, and educating and informing teachers, and she listens. She really, really listens. So any feedback, we believe feedback is a gift. So any feedback that we receive from a teacher, positive or negative, helps us to look at our resources and think, oh, they're actually right. We should amend this. and we'll make those changes. And in a lot of the new products we create, is Camilla puts a teacher hat on and thinks, would this have been a benefit to me in the classroom? And we're just excited. We're just creators and passionate, and we just know what is needed somehow. It's not as simple as that. There's a lot of research that goes into it, but we just have a belief like, oh, the kids are going to love this, and the teachers are going to love this. What we're doing right now is we do have so many resources, but it's most important for us is to empower teachers. So because we are a resource company, when we don't label ourselves as a program, because we're not saying you need to teach this sound on that day and then progress, because you have to teach to your students and their abilities. So if you need to stay at SATPIN for a bit longer, you stay at SATPIN a little bit longer. So that's why we'll never say we're a program, and you stick to that program. So what we're doing now is creating the missing piece for us is still teacher knowledge, and we have so many resources, how do all those resources link together? If I start here, how do I systematically then keep using all of these resources in the best way possible, and to manage their own time and schedule? So we're putting together a teacher manual, and it's separated into chapters. It's all going to be for free, because if we can empower teachers and their knowledge, they can then use our resources better and in the best way possible to get the best impact. So teacher knowledge that's what we're really working on now, is creating these manuals to everyone can download it and use it. It does all link to our resources, how to use them. But yeah, if we can get to the teachers, you have the biggest impact imaginable within the classroom.
Where is that manual available now?
At the most, not available yet. We're just pieces of it will be available soon, and it will be on our website. We do have our learning lounge, which is all the videos, the PD videos that anyone can access. If you went onto our website, you'll see learning lounge. Soon there will be another tab that will have all of these manuals there, and it's all linked to the research. What we found is a lot of questions we'd be asked, or Camilla would be asked by teachers, is how do I read more about the research? And I don't want to go do a deep dive into the research. I want to analyze and just something that I can read that simplifies it, which I find is the best way as well. When it goes too deep into the research, you lose me, and a lot of parents would as well. I just want to know, okay, I need to do this. I have the resources to be able to allow me to do this. But if I want to deep dive into the research more, here's the links. So teachers can do that. They will have everything there, and it's going to be all free PD.
Have you found it helpful to teachers learning to just provide them with those resources and a very kind of to the point, concise explanation of the research, and then let them actually explore that in their teaching as they go? Has that been something that you've observed has helped teachers to make sense of the research?
Yes, because there's so much of it, and there's so much PD as well, and it's wonderful. But sometimes it just goes too deep that it's hard to process. And from my experience, and if I was a teacher, I try to put myself in the position of a teacher, especially one that's just starting out. It can be completely overwhelming, and where do I even begin? So these manuals will start at the beginning and just step it out systematically for the teacher as well. And if they want to deep dive and really understand the research, those links that Camilla and other teachers have found beneficial, you would have read most of the things that will be in there. All those links will be there. So if you want to go deep and really get a full understanding, you can. Or if you just want to know, okay, I've got these resources. Why do I have them? Some teachers are given resources. You need to start using this. But why? If they want to know why and how, it's all going to be stepped out for them.
I love that. I did actually my master's advanced research project in what makes for good teacher training, and you really do need that practical application side as well as the theory side, because yes, I have seen a lot of PDs go very deeply into the research, which is great. You do need that deep understanding, but so often you're kind of left thinking, okay, but what do I do with this as a practitioner? So it's
Yeah,
really great that you've got those, and people can meet that as and where they are. If you just want to get started using the materials and thinking, okay, how does this work? How is this different from what I've been doing? But then if you want to learn why is it done that way, you've got that opportunity as well.
definitely.
I want to come back to ask more about the business side of things. What would you say was one of your biggest, I don't want to use the word mistakes because I know you probably wouldn't use that word either, but what was one of the biggest flops you had and how did you navigate that?
I have to be totally honest. In terms of the resources that we create, we haven't had any flops. We've never
Amazing.
discontinued a product. Everything that we've created, we still sell now. And one of the, I won't say it's a flop because we all go through stages and we learn, but before anyone starts a business, really deep dive into who you're starting a business with. Will your personalities conflict after some time? Um, you know, Partnerships is really, really important. And personally, I do like being the sole owner of a company because I'm not nervous to try things. If I want to try something, I'll just give it a go. Like the online library is a massive project that we did, but I always had the vision of doing a digital online library. And once I did buy my business partners out, a project like that was massive and it can be overwhelming for some people. I think for them, they may have found just even the thought of doing that. How do we even begin to do that? Because I wanted to do learning videos and bring the characters to life and have them made up as mascots. And I wanted to make it as fun as possible for kids. And learning to read doesn't have to be, you just sit at a desk and or look at a screen, and doesn't have to be boring. Let's make it fun and engaging for the kids, and that's what I wanted to bring to life. And having the space to do that and be able to make all those decisions, I didn't know if that was going to work, but just try like that. For me, I'm not afraid to fail. If something doesn't work, that's okay. We can change direction, but you have to try. If you don't try, you'll never ever know. And the online library has been a massive, really big success, and we keep adding to that as well and improving. So all of our books that we create, we then sell as physical copies, but we also put them in the library as well, so that they're easily accessible wherever you are in the world. If you're on holidays, if your students are on school holidays, teachers can still allocate books to the students. They can still practice. They can watch the learning videos. They can do lessons. It was an important piece of the puzzle for me. But if I had stayed in my partnership, that might not have ever have happened. So for the only problem I had was probably being held back. But when you're free to do whatever you want, it's you can have a vision and bring that vision to life. And yeah, if it doesn't work, it's okay. We just try something else. So
You sound
that's the
so
way.
incredibly positive and like
Yeah,
forward thinking. But are there ever sleepless nights? Do you ever have nights where you think, "What am I doing? I'm having a mild panic."
yeah. Not so much now. I feel really in control, and I am a very relaxed person, and I've never wanted to create a business that felt chaotic and out of control. And you could say I'm a very systematic person as well. That we do everything in stages, and you can't start here and you want to get to here, to this destination, but there's steps that you need to take along the way to get you to that destination. I think big, but I know we have to follow a process to get there. And as long as I do that, I feel completely in control of the business. Um, and yeah, the one thing that does freak me out a little bit is every business owner wants to expand and just be this global success. And I do want that, but the fear of losing complete control, because you have to be able to manage your stock, you have to be able to manage your customer service for us is key. I want to be able to still provide the best customer service for our customers as possible. If you start getting too big too quick and lose complete control of that, your business can collapse. And that's something that I've never wanted. And to launch internationally, which we have gone internationally, but we haven't marketed there. It's just been really organic. So I want to be a little bit strategic and where we market, not to, if we're thinking we're going to do a big push in the US. I'm not doing a big push to the whole of the US because the population there is huge, and the amount of schools that they have there is huge. If all those schools came to us at the one time, we wouldn't be able to facilitate all of their needs at the one time. So I like to stay in control, and just keep things simple and not get, if I get too overwhelmed with things, I just think it could all come unraveling. And it's just important for me to do things step by step and have a plan.
I'm just absorbing that for myself, because when you say doing things step by step and strategically, I think it's a pretty common trait of most entrepreneurs to kind of jump all over the place and be like, and I have so many, I'm also very creative as well, so many ideas of all the different things that I could do to make an impact.
Yep.
Do you think it's just a natural trait of yours that you're able to just pick the one thing, stick to it, and plod along and work through it in a very processed way? Or is that something you've had to discipline yourself into learning to do?
No, I think that's who I am. And I am a creative, but I was also naturally just fell into the role of operations of the business. So that was, managing the stock, managing right at the beginning. I was the one packing all the orders and sending them out. I was the one answering the emails and the phone calls, and I was good at the finance as well. So I did all the financial side as well. And so I guess I'm just organised in that way. And as I've been able to build my team, I've been able to step out of some of those roles. But I also know, and for any business owner, I believe you need to be able to, if something went wrong, you need to be able to step back into every position within your business. You need to know all of the elements within your business. So if my warehouse team all decided not to come in for a week, they all got sick at the same time, I can step back in there and make sure that all those orders still go out, because that's important. Your operations still have to, no matter what happens anywhere, you need to be able to jump in and be able to do every role. And that's, as we've evolved and implemented new technology, I've had to try to learn that, because you could say I'm a control freak, but I'm not a control freak. I just like to know that the business is safe. If something happened to any of our team, the business still goes on seamlessly. And as customers, you wouldn't know what's going on behind the scenes. If you can put systems in place that's not overwhelming, I do that, because I just like to feel completely in order. And if I'm not in order, you can't be a good boss. You can't even think clearly to come up with ideas for new resources, and you're just scattered, and you can't be efficient if that's where you're at.
How on earth do you maintain any kind of work-life balance?
Oh, I don't have young kids anymore. So my sons are now 20 and 18. So I have a lot more free time. It was a lot harder in the early days to manage all of that, because we had soccer and all the kids' needs, and but now they're driving, and I have a lot more free time. So if I can't do it in a working day, then I'll do it at night. I've actually just signed up to a mentoring program. I've done well with this business, and I've learnt a lot, but I still need help and guidance. So that I have to do at night after hours. And if you're passionate about something and you want to learn something, you will make that time. And you just do. You just have to. In the early days, we would work all day, and then at night I'd still be upstairs once the kids went to bed, and just chipping away. If I needed to learn something, that's when I did it at night. I had to learn it. If we needed to find, you know, trying to find more contacts for schools to be able to get into more schools, I did all of that at night, so that in the daytime I could then reach out to those schools and those head of curriculums. But you just have to make the time. It's can be exhausting, and as your business grows, so in the early days you're doing it all yourself, and you just fit it in wherever you can. But as your business grows and you can bring on team members, they take on a lot of those responsibilities, and you can step back. I've just started now. I try to get a bit more balance, and I'm trying to have Fridays off. Doesn't always work out. Camilla might have a workshop booked in on a Friday, and I say to her, don't book your workshops around me. I'll fit. If I don't have the Friday off, I'll have a Wednesday off. I just try to, so sorry, have that one day free that I can do stuff to have that balance. And it might be just going for breakfast with my husband, or, taking the dog for an extra long walk, or whatever it might be, just getting back in order at home, because we all, can never be in control of everything at all the time. And it's, yeah, but I'm in a position now that I realize it's okay to take that time and have that day off. And I've put my team are wonderful. Everyone's got their roles covered. They don't need any micromanaging. We're just a really good team and a good family. And I trust when I'm not there, they're doing everything that they want to do. They want to succeed as much as I want the business to succeed. We're all on the same page with what we want to achieve. And but yeah, it's okay to try to get that balance when you can. Take that time for yourself, because if you're not of a healthy mind and feeling focused, how can you be of any benefit to anyone? So it's important to take time for yourself. But if there's something that you really want to do, the only way to do it is to put the effort in and get it done. And if that means doing it at 11 o'clock at night, because that's the time that you have available, you do it. You just get it done. If you have a dream and a passion, you will make it happen. Nothing will stop you.
Thank you so much, Kori. I'm mindful of your time, but I do absolutely appreciate you confronting your I won't call it a fear of being on camera, but certainly a dislike. I really, really do appreciate it. I know there'll be so many people that get a lot of really good learning out of this conversation that we've had. So thanks for driving the cause forward in that way today. But I could talk to you all day, but I'm not going to. I know you've got a lot of things to do, and yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much, and good luck to you. You're doing amazing things as well. And yeah, I'm happy to know you. And yeah, known you for a while, and it'd be good to be able to catch up a lot more often when we both have time.
It is difficult to, especially now I've moved away. It's difficult to find the time, but I would absolutely love that to see you face to face again sometime soon.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. You take care and have a wonderful day, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you so much, Kori. You too.